We shall begin with our assignment work, working on chapter number 2, Lost Spring, part 1. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. The very first question of part 1, describe the irony in Sahib's name. Now children, as you know, in 11th standard also we were practicing writing the question in a set format. What you are supposed to do in the board also, the question that is going to come, it will be of 2 marks. So obviously you have to elaborately and describe the question vividly in such a manner that it looks impressive also and the write up is also good. So what you are going to do, first of all, in the middle of the page you are going to write down the name of the chapter, Lost Spring. As I have instructed you in 11th standard, the same you are going to follow in the 12th standard also. In the middle of the page you are going to write down Lost Spring. Don't write down in the margins, leave the margin, then if possible leave 1 to 2 lines and then give the title of the lesson, Lost Spring. Write down the name of the writer, Anees Jung. Then write down a brief introduction. Now when you are going to write down the introduction, at that time, first of all you are going to introduce the writer in 2 to 3 lines. That means a short introduction or the brief introduction of the writer or the author you are supposed to write in 2 to 3 lines. Then in 2 to 3 lines, next 2 to 3 lines you are supposed to write down a brief summary of the lesson. Okay, what exactly does the theme of the lesson consists of, or what is the summary of the lesson in short, but only in 2 to 3 lines you are supposed to write it down, and then straightforwardly jump to the main question, whatever the question is. For example, we are going to discuss the very first question over here, describe the irony in Sahib's name. So the author, when she meets the boy, at that time she is unaware of his name, but later on when she discovers that his name is Sahib-e-Alam, which means Lord of the Universe, she feels that Sahib would not believe what his name means, because he was doing the job of rack picking, and to a boy like Sahib-e-Alam who belongs to the slum area, if he knows what exactly his name means, then obviously his name goes quite opposite to the sort of job that he is doing. So when Sahib is going to know the real meaning of his name, then he won't be able to believe it. He is a poor rag picker who lives in Simapuri. His full name is Sahib-e-Alam, that means the Lord of the Universe, and according to this name he should be the king and enjoy all the luxuries of the life, but unfortunately his life, it is very hard, and he has to move barefooted along with the other children of the slum areas. And Sahib-e-Alam means the king, and the king is supposed to live in the palace, but here our protagonist, he is living in the slum area that is very dingy and dirty, and he does the job of rag picking. So the area over there, it lacks even the basic necessities and amenities also that should be made available to the common people over there. So his name goes quite opposite to whatever job he is doing and in what sort of area he lives in. So you are supposed to elaborate the answer like this. Now switch on to the second question. Garbage to them is gold. Why does the author say so about the rag pickers? Now the Lost Spring, stories of stolen childhood, it describes the plight of the poor rag pickers of Simapuri. this place, it resides in the outskirts of Delhi, and for these people the job of rag picking is the only source by which they earn their bread and butter, and they reside in a very dirty and shabby slum area. And these people, they are basically from Bangladesh, Dhaka, and because there was no hope of any livelihood being found out by them in Bangladesh, they have shifted over here in order to have a better future. For the small children like Sahib and his friends who were born and brought up in Simapuri, rag picking is something for those children that is full of wonders. For the obviously for the young people, or for their parents, the rag picking, it was the source of their income. That means it was helpful for them in fetching their or finding out the bread and butter for them. But for the children it was wrapped in wonders, because sometimes they found many unexpected things like 10 rupee coin, 10 rupee note, or 1 rupee coin, or sometimes even the silver items also which they can sell and find cash out of it. So for them it was a feeling that was really very wonderful. Though they have lived here for the 30 years, they have no identity of their own. They are being deprived of even the basic facilities also, and their life, it is in total despair. So like this you can elaborate your answer. Garbage to them is gold. Now let's come up to the third question. Sahib is no longer his own master. It can be a very important question from the board's point of view if it comes. So initially when we are being introduced with the protagonist, his name, as it suggests, Sahib-e-Alam, that means the Lord of the Universe. So initially he was doing the job of rag picking, and when he was doing the job of rag picking, there were no working hours that were being fixed for him to work. He was doing that job according to his own wish and will. So the grinding poverty and the necessity for a life to survive has involved this Sahib in the job of rag picking. So going through or collecting this garbage every day does not provide him a regular sort of an income, because sometimes he was getting lesser amount of money, sometimes he was getting more amount of money. But the regular sort of income that is supposed to be needed for any individual in order to fulfill his daily needs, that was not being made available to him. But yet he was having the freedom at that time. He was having all the liberty in the world to roam around with his friends in the streets wherever he wanted to go, with whosoever he wanted to go, without any worries to bother. He was hunting for the gold in the garbage dumps, and it provided him a hope and a thrill every day in the form of rupee or a 10 rupee note, and sometimes he used to get the silver items also in it, and he was quite satisfied with the job of rag picking over there. But when he takes the job of a tea stall, obviously the hours that he has to work, they were fixed. Even the metal canister that was being given to him, it was not his own, while the garbage bag that he was pulling on and that was being put on in his shoulder, at least it was his own. So ironically here the writer also says when he was doing the job of rag picking, at that time the bag that was being put on his shoulder, it was much lighter than the metal canister that he was carrying after he had taken up the job at a tea stall. So the job he takes up at tea stall is one of his attempts to become his own master. But ironically, it further enslaves him, and he is not now free to roam around with his friends like he used to do previously. His new occupation binds him to serve somebody else. Previously, he was doing the job for himself, he was serving himself. But now, he has bound himself to work for somebody else. Now, coming to the fourth question. Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it, metaphorically. So when we are being introduced with the protagonist, Sahib-e-Alam, he lives in Simapuri, that is a place that resides on the outskirts of Delhi, whereupon approximately 10,000 rag pickers and their families live over there in that slum area. The people living over there, they are basically the immigrants from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and they have left their homeland because there was no scope of any better life over there. So in order to have a bright future, in order to have a good future, they have shifted from Bangladesh to India. So the rag pickers, where they live, the structures, or say the hutments, they are made out of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin that is devoid of any sewage or drainage facilities. Even they are not being made available with proper drinking water also. And nobody in the world can imagine that such a place exists on the periphery of Delhi, that is the capital of India. So it stands somewhere contradictory or contrast to the metropolitan city of Delhi, that itself means development. So the face of Delhi that is being put forth before us, it is in a developed state, whereas the picture that is being presented to us by the author, it is quite different, and it goes contradictory to what is being presented to us. The main city of Delhi and Simapuri at its periphery provide an exemplary case of contradictions. So as being said, कि Delhi, it is full of luxury. We are going to find out educated people over there, and we have many opportunities and dreams supposed to be fulfilled over there. Whereas Simapuri, it is a mark of hopelessness and despair for the people who are living over there, the poor people who are living over there. There is no chance of growth over there. Even the inhabitants of this area, they are struggling hard to make themselves available with even 2 times food also. Thus, although Simapuri is located at the periphery of Delhi in real sense, Delhi is many miles away from it. So contradiction means you are supposed to contradict both the phases. Okay, the phase that is being presented to us by the writer of the Simapuri, the slum area, and the plight of the people at Simapuri, and the Delhi that is being presented to us by the media, or say in real sense the Delhi that is being the educated side, or say the affluent or the luxurious Delhi that is being shown to us. Likewise, you are supposed to write down your answer. Now hope you have understood the explanation that is being done to you of the 4 questions that are being discussed over here. I am going to provide you with the PDF also of other question answers supposed to be written, but most of the chapter is being covered up in all these 4 answers. So I have discussed these 4 questions elaborately over here in this session. Hope you have understood it. We shall again meet in the next session. Till then, goodbye and take care.